Hi, I'm Dahlia, dystopian author and editor-in-chief at Newspeak Press, and today I'm here to discuss 5 red flags to look for when hiring an editor. This video is part 1 of a 2-part series, so make sure you subscribe and hit that bell if you want to be notified as soon as I upload. So as of January 2020, I have officially been a freelance editor for over 12 months. A charging one, that is. My journey up until this point has been a long one, and I do promise that a video is coming soon, but I feel like I'm not quite at the end of where I want to be before I make that video, so keep your eyes peeled because it will be in the near future. Long story short, I created Newspeak Press, an Australian-based business focused on creating and maintaining personable relationships between editors and authors. In January 2019. 3 months later, I became a contract editor for the Expert Editor, and about 5 months after that, I became a contract editor for Splash Editing. So I know that this topic has been requested for some time now, but I finally feel like I have the experience behind me to back my advice. Many authors come to Newspeak Press after being disappointed with an edit from their previous editor, and they actually make up a rather large portion of my client base. Many reputable editors claim to be something that they are not. So I'm here today to let you know 5 red flags to look out for when hiring an editor. There are more than this, and in part 2 there's another 5 red flags, and I can bet that there's going to be many future videos on these sorts of topics, because unfortunately it's something that we as editors have to deal with and we as authors have to deal with. Number 1, editors who do it all. Have you ever noticed how some editors specialize in everything? Fiction, non-fiction, academic, all genres? Even every editing service, and also they're a whiz with ESL dissertations. Unfortunately, this is an editor playing the field. They are offering everything that they can in order to gain more money and quickly. So regardless of whether they are qualified or whether they have had training in certain editing, it doesn't mean that they can specialize in everything. So if you hire an editor who's actually been trained in developmental editing for academic editing, they may not do the job that an academic editor might do for you. They may not even be able to do that. However, if an editor is a veteran in the industry, then there's a high possibility that they can do everything that they claim that they can do. But the word specialize is finicky. That word basically means that the editor themselves think that they have notoriety, experience in a certain area. This is not someone else giving them the term, this is them giving themselves the term. And there is nothing wrong with that. And please note here that the word specialize is different from the word capable. I specialize in developmental editing, and I prefer genres such as science fiction or fantasy. However, I am capable of proofreading or copy editing anything that needs the Australian government standards or APA. I also don't work with ESL students because I don't feel like I'm qualified enough to edit their work. So unfortunately, you can see how the lines can get blurred, and you really do need to talk to every editor that you consider hiring just to know what they edit and how well they can edit it. Number 2, editors who cannot state their qualifications or training. Unfortunately, this is the most common red flag that I see. Too many editors are either teachers, like English teachers, or English majors, like in a Bachelor of Arts. While these certain qualifications might be helpful for, say, proofreading, that doesn't mean that they are capable or specialize in any other editing technique. People who do not have specific training in the editing field or experience in the editing field cannot class themselves as a professional editor. That's just how it goes. So oftentimes what teachers can do, or people who specialize as English majors can do, is they can intern with a publishing company, or they can work with an editing company so that they can get the experience required to then assist people in other editing services. But just because someone has worked with an editing company or a publishing house, this does not mean that they are qualified to edit your novel. They may not have had the proper training or the required hours in order to complete such a service. And please remember that you have the right to ask an editor what their training or qualifications are, and also you have the right to see some of the work that they have edited because if they have this available to you, this means that you can see whether they're a good fit for you or not. But also sample edits are also wonderful to tell if what they say is true. Number 3, editors who don't charge the industry standard. When a freelance editor is new to the industry, they typically charge under the standard. This is regardless of whether they have qualifications or training. It's just a great way to gain clients and get their foot in the door. This is absolutely acceptable so long as they have had specific editing training. Not writing, not English, not publishing, editing. So you may have noticed that my prices are below the industry standard. This is because I'm still within the first 2 years of having a freelance editing business, and actually as of August this year, my prices will be going up. This was a business decision to help me earn the cost-benefit trust of my clients, on top of 7 years of education. So as you can see, sometimes editors charge below the standard for a reason. However, other times editors may try to undercut the editing competition. This is actually a really big offense to other editors and editors associations. We like to band together and we create the standard rate for a reason. So for someone to come in and severely undercut us, it's an insult. Unfortunately, this could also mean that they actually do not have the qualifications or training to edit someone's work. They don't believe that they do, or they could be trying to poach other editors' clients. And on the other hand, some editors charge way above the industry standard. If you are a veteran in the field of editing, then that is absolutely okay. You can charge $60 an hour. Editors who have also worked a long time at reputable publishing houses can also charge a higher rate. But many of us are just not that experienced. So be careful of an editor who charges more, because more may not mean better. Because the more they charge, the less they have to work. Number 4, editors who do not use a style manual. This topic doesn't really relate to developmental editing. You don't need a style manual for developmental editing. It can be useful, but not necessary. This is merely for copy editing and proofreading. Style manuals are regularly used pretty much all the time throughout academic work, but they're also used in non-academic work. Different countries, different states, and different publishing houses all use different style manuals. Even different editors use different style manuals. So it pays for you to know exactly what style manual you want used for your project. So I use this wonderful, ginormous manual for most of the copy editing and proofreading work that I do, regardless of whether it is academic or non-academic. That is because it was created by the Australian government. But if I'm not using that style manual, I will use the Australian Editing Handbook. This book is a great one to cross-reference with the other style manual, the other Australian government style manual, just because they go together. So this has a lot of the editors' roles in publishing houses in Australia and what is expected of them. So it's less on the copy editing sort of rules, but more on the proofreading side of things. For most of the academic work that I do, because I know about this style, I use the APA. This is typically what they use when students are at university or other things like that for their dissertations and their essays, etc. That's because this is mostly accepted. However, some people do use the Harvard style and all the other types of different styles. This is the one that I know about, and this is the one that, I used and that I trained with. For any other work or research, I like to use William Strunk's Elements of Style, which you may already be familiar with, or Benjamin Dreyer's English. Benjamin Dreyer is the copy chief of Random House, so it's like a fun little book for copy editing. Unless you're an editor, you might not find it too fun. Most of the time, style guides are used for passing grades in academic work. If they don't get the correct referencing right, or say certain styles of the APA correct throughout their dissertation, it means that they may not pass their grade. So it's something that an editor can't even pretend to know, because they don't know all the facets of it. They may know the referencing structure, which is easily found through Google, but they don't know the rest of the rules that come with, say, the APA. Style manuals are used for consistency throughout different publications. It's simple. If an editor does not use a style manual for copy editing or proofreading, do not hire them. So if you can, familiarize yourself with the style guide that you want your book to be, or your project to be consistent with, and make sure that the editor that you wish to hire is proficient in this field. And finally, number 5, editors who do not offer contracts. This topic really grinds my gears. You might know of an author who hired an editor that did not give them the job that they paid for. You might also know that they have no legal standing if there was no contract signed. No matter how much the author paid, they don't get a cent back because the editor technically was required to do nothing. The author technically did not hire them to do any specific editing. Emails and telephone conversations do not count as a contract. Without a contract, your editor has no legal obligation to do what you want them to do or what you paid them to do. Unfortunately, a lot of the client base that I see and speak to at Newspeak Press has previously had a bad experience with an editor who did not get them to sign a contract. Some have paid way over what they should have, others have not received the editing that they paid for, but every single one of them didn't have a contract, so there was nothing they could do about it. At Newspeak Press, every author is expected to first read the contract. They are then expected to either accept it and sign it or request a change of some information. They are then required to date it and send it back before an editor even looks at their manuscript or their project. This way, it protects the rights of the editor and the author. So at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I'm going to end the video there. But if you'd like to know more about style manuals, style guides, or contracts, please let me know in the comments. If you take anything away from this video, just one thing, let it be the contracts. Please, please, please ask your editor for a contract, and if they do not provide one or they provide anything sort of suspicious, do not sign it, do not go with them, find another editor and hire them. I cannot stress how important it is to protect you and your project. If you'd like me to discuss any other topic, please let me know below. I'm more than happy to oblige because this information seems to not be very well known, and that's concerning. If you want to know more about me, my life, my books, or my services, please see the links below. And remember to sign up for my newsletter so you may go into the draw to win a free copy of the Story Bible Workbook when it is published. It is still in the working phases, but I want to bring attention to it now because you guys could win one of your very own copies. This is basically a book showing you how to create your own story Bible as I create my own. And it is a beast of a project, so make sure you sign up. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next time. Bye.